All right, so the first thing we did, if you recall, is we went to page 95 in the book where it says, if he's interested in what you have to offer, ask him to read the book in the interval. Okay, well, what you do is you set up reasonable, attainable goals to build laurels. Not tomorrow, that's not reasonable or attainable, so you agree on a week. So you agree on a week for him to get back with you with the reading. You take him to 161, said no one has been too discredited or has sunk too low to be cordially welcomed if he means business. If he's not willing to get back with you within the agreed amount of time, then he doesn't mean business and you don't have to work with him. So if he gets back with you within the week, then you look on 96. It says perhaps you're making your second visit and he's read this volume and is willing to go on with the rest of the steps. All right, well, that's good. You're on 96. On 76 and 79 on the squiggly writing, it talks about, remember it was agreed in the beginning that we're willing to go to any lengths for victory over alcohol. What's important about that is you want to make the agreement in the beginning, so you shake on it. Are you willing to go to any lengths for victory over alcohol? All right, so then you know he's officially in the first step reading because there's two questions everybody must know. What step are you on, and you're willing to go? Are you going to any lengths? So you know what step you're on. Going to any lengths is not doing all the steps at one time. It's doing the respective assignment in the time frame agreed upon. That is going to any lengths, and that is building those laurels. So what you do is you go to how it works. At the end of how it works, on page 60, where it says the description of the alcoholic, the chapter of the agnostic, the personal adventures before and after, make clear three pertinent ideas. A, that we were alcoholic and could manage our own lives. A is step 1. B and C is step 2. We know agnostics is step 2, so it says the description of the alcoholic will make clear step 1. So what is the description of the alcoholic? You go to the first page of agnostics on page 44. It says in the preceding chapters we have made clear the distinction of alcoholism. We hope we have made clear the distinction between the alcoholic and the non-alcoholic. When you honestly want to, you can't quit entirely. When drinking, you can't control the amount you take. Okay, so that means every page up to page 44 is the description. We already know that the doctor's opinion was supposed to be the first chapter, but they shoved it forward. That's why there's 11 chapters, not 12, but the doctor's opinion was supposed to be an integral part of the description, meaning the doctor's opinion, Bill's story, there is a solution, and more about alcoholism is the description that they say will make clear we're an alcoholic and could manage our own lives. So now we know what the description is. We don't want to know how to read the description. We have to read the description 3 times through, how am I like this, and 3 times through, how am I not like this. We did it like 2 times through, something like that. I had to do it 3 times through, but that's a lot of fucking reading because you're talking about 50 pages times 3, that's 150. 3 times through, how am I like this, 3 times through, how am I not like this. That's 300 pages. That's a lot of reading, but I think we can back it off to 2, or you can decide what you want to do. But you get the piece of paper at the top, you say similarities at the top of one piece of paper, differences at the top of another, and when they're reading the how am I like this, you want them to jot down some of the similarities, like I tried to quit for good, I switched from beer to wine, fear sobered me for a bit, all this. But then on the how am I not like this, some of the differences are going to be my name is not Bill, I'm not a night school lawyer, I don't know what bathtub gin is, didn't live in New York. So basically the whole thrust of the matter is you're supposed to see how the similarities have substances and the differences have no meaning at all. What we're looking to get is on page 24 in the book, where it talks about the truth about the alcoholism is that we lost the power of choice. That's the whole object of doing the reading, is realizing no matter how bad I want to quit this time, I'm going to drink again. That's the whole object of the first step. Once we get the first step, that crushing blow, obviously we don't need a solution till we know we need one. That's what puts us into the chapter of the agnostics. Okay, we're only 3 minutes in. We're doing good. So we're in chapter of the agnostics. We know chapter of the agnostics, back to page 60, is going to make clear, B and C, that no human power could relieve me of my alcoholism, that God could and would if he were sought. So how do we read agnostics? Well, we know that agnostics is about 11 pages. On page 53 in agnostics, it talks about being crushed by self-imposed crisis. We could not postpone or evade. We had to fearlessly face the proposition that God is either everything or he is nothing. What was our choice to be? So what it's saying is that we must make a choice, using agnostics as the tool. So what we do is we read agnostics 3 times through, God is everything, and 3 times through, God is nothing. So we have to make the choice. We can't just simply say, okay, God is everything, because that's not making a choice. That's making a statement. So we have to use the text the way it was intended to really try to make the choice for ourselves. Plus, it's the exercise of actually doing the steps and using the book the way it was intended. So that's what we do with agnostics. Again, the same thing. You get an agreement how long it's going to take. You agree that they're going to come back. When another part to digress about the first step reading, after they do the how am I like this and how am I not like this, you want to try to share times you tried to quit for good in minute. That means you sang the Addicts National Anthem, I'll Never Do It Again, and drank again. And then you share a time when you tried to quit for good. And it really shows that, you know, we really meant it when we said it. But without something more, we're going to continue to do it. Just like the topic tonight, self-knowledge, which basically said, define self-knowledge as getting the first step and nothing else. We know that self-knowledge will avail us nothing, just like doing the first step and not going any farther will avail us nothing. So when we do the after we do the second step reading, you come back to them and you say, well, which is it? And they say either is everything or is nothing, or either is or isn't. And that's when you get them to read the third step reading, which is going to be obviously from the end of How It Works, where it says being convinced, all the way to the bottom of 63, which is where the third step prayer is. Basically, that's where it talks about the guy who's running the show. He's an actor and trying to be the director and the actor and all that shit, you know. And then it talks about at the bottom of 62 about the keystone. And we could go into the stones. Page 12 is the foundation of willingness. Page 47 in agnostics is going to be the cornerstone of belief. And then the keystone is obviously on page 62. There's destruction of selfishness that is the keystone in the great and triumphant arch to which we walk to freedom. So the third step basically is what we do is we, you know, use where you get up. Okay, we're at 6 minutes. We're still cool. All right, so it's where you get on the knees and you recite the third step prayer. All right. Well, and that is no more than a decision to go on with the rest of the steps. We could talk about the train station. Step you decide to step on the train, and you know, now that the train has left the station, you know, the decision is made. The rest of the life is the turning. All right, so once you do that, you got to get them to start making that list. We go to page 64. All right, that's where it says we listed people, institutions, principles with whom we were angry. You already have the spreadsheet.
Can I use the spreadsheet?
Of course you can use the spreadsheet. I thought about locking it somehow with some kind of fucking code, but I ain't gonna fuck with all that. So it's gonna get out there. It's no big deal, but it's a cool as shit little tool. All right, so get them to do the list, give them some examples of what institutions and principles are. The key part to 64 and 65 is at the bottom of 64 it says people, institutions, and principles with whom we were angry. That means we don't just list the ones that we're angry at now. We list if we ever were angry. And then across the page on 65 at the bottom it talks about, remember, we went back through our lives, nothing counted but thoroughness and honesty. That means we went back, the most recent ones first, all the way back as far as we can remember if we ever were angry. So that means that's going to encompass people that we were mad at, even if we're not mad now, even before we started using institutions and principles. Institutions are going to be the institution of marriage, like the police, government, hospitals, anything that you had a resentment at. Principles is going to be like sayings that you used to didn't like. Nice guys finish last. Big boys don't cry. Early bird gets the worm. There's not going to be many principles or institutions, but you got to give them a couple of examples so they can understand what the fuck they're talking about. All right, so once they get the list, which is going to take a minute because you have to, all right, we're at 8 minutes. We need to stop.